The film opens in Nevada, where rookie cop Valerie Young is called to respond to a disturbance. At the same time, a man, Teddy Murretto, leaves the scene of a car wreck. Upon arriving at the scene, Young attempts to defuse the situation, and then Murretto comes out of nowhere and sucker punches her. Officers tase Murretto as he openly asks to be arrested. Murretto is taken down to the station and is locked up. Elsewhere, a hitman, Bob Viddick, is picked up from a wreck after it is reported that a lawyer has been murdered. Viddick is locked up in a cell across from Murretto, who is demanding that authorities go check on his ex and her son. Murretto is not happy to see Viddick, as he knows Viddick is there to kill him. Meanwhile, an officer in the station, Huber, gets a text from a secret employer asking what happened to their supply of coke. Viddick is stuck in a cell with a drunk guy who annoys him because he keeps responding to everything with "huh." He waits as the phone that was confiscated off of him starts to emit smoke. As the alarms go off, Viddick violently attacks the drunk man and starts causing him to choke on his own blood before he gets his cell door open, grabbing a gun and firing off at Murretto. Other officers hear the shots and go to subdue Viddick, give medical attention to the drunk, and tend to Murretto. Young asks Murretto who he really is and why Viddick is trying to kill him. He explains that he is something of a fixer for people in government involved in shady businesses. He recently screwed over the people who hired him by stealing their money and destroying their drug shipment, so he knows that Viddick was hired to go after him. Elsewhere in the station, Huber's contact, a far more insane contract killer named Anthony Lamb, arrives in disguise and proceeds to shoot at several officers. This forces Huber to turn on his colleagues and go through with their plan, as Lamb is there to kill Murretto as well. After killing a slew of cops, Lamb makes his way to the cells using a machine gun. Young attempts to take him down but also has to hide behind the bulletproof glass to avoid the thunderous gunfire. Lamb eventually runs out of ammo, and Valerie tries to fire her gun at him but misses before hiding back in the cells. Young discovers she's accidentally been shot by her own bullet that ricocheted in her attempt to hit Lamb. She knows she is bleeding out and might not easily make it to get the trauma kit she needs. Lamb and Huber then begin trying to smash the wall into the cell down with a sledgehammer. Murretto and Viddick both argue for why they should be let go, but Young obviously trusts neither of them. She eventually relents and frees Murretto and even gives him her gun. However, when the question about whether or not he will return with the trauma kit comes up, Viddick tells Young he clearly isn't, and then forces Valerie to admit that they knew earlier that Murretto's ex and her son were already murdered by Lamb. Murretto exits the cell and seems to suggest he'll get the kit. Lamb and Huber are faced by two other officers. Lamb shoots and kills one and orders Huber to kill the other. Huber hesitates but pulls the trigger after being frightened when Murretto comes out yelling and firing his gun. Lamb hides but Huber gets shot in both legs and gets dazed in the bullet wounds by Murretto. Viddick manages to uncuff himself from his cell even as Young protests, but he seems more willing to help her. Lamb attempts to get Murretto, firing at a figure that he sees standing ahead of him, but it turns out he just killed Huber. Viddick comes out and shoots Lamb down, but Murretto shoots Viddick. Murretto finishes Lamb as he is rambling on. Murretto then sets fire to the station and goes to the kitchen to get food. He sees the trauma kit open next to him and finds Young having taken care of her wound. She knows now that Viddick was right about Murretto, and they get into a standoff. After exchanging gunfire, Young uses the bullet she dug out of herself and places it into her gun and fires off a shot that takes Murretto down just as he attempts to make a run for it. Before Young can finish off Murretto, she gets shot by another killer in the station, but that one gets taken out by Viddick. Murretto realizes he is screwed and then gets executed by Viddick, who takes a bag with him and steals a car just as medics arrive. Viddick contacts his employer and reports that he killed Murretto and is even bringing back Lamb's head. Young is being taken to the hospital, but she orders the medics to pull over so she can take the ambulance. She heads off to pursue Viddick. The two of them turn on the radio. both playing the exact same song and singing along to it.